President Biden delivering his second State of the Union as the White House remains in controversy. This as a new AP poll showing just 37% of Americans want him to run for re-election. That's down from 52% in the weeks leading up to the midterms. Joining me now for more is New York Congresswoman Claudia Tenney. Thank you so much for joining us this morning. So following the president's speech, you issued a statement claiming tonight President Biden once again tried to take a victory lap despite the endless crises caused by his administration, from the economy to national security. The president has continued to fail this country. Congresswoman, do you think the president accomplished anything last night after watching that speech?
Look, I'm very realistic about State of the Union addresses. They tend to be red meat for the side, the party of the person giving the speech. And Joe Biden sort of rambled on incoherently, mumbled most of the time. It looked like he was trying to speed read, and then he was screaming at the audience into the microphone. It was very strange in many ways. But he basically talked about raising taxes. He talked about shutting down natural gas and oil drilling, and taxing the rich. Saying they finally need to pay their fair share. It was all the same old demagogic rhetoric that you'll hear from Democrats, and what Democrats want to hear about. They keep talking about democracy, and authoritarianism and socialism is what they really were talking about, is more spending, more inflation, more pain for the American people. And I think that's why you saw some pushback from Republicans, because we really want to see more prosperity, more freedom, more common sense. And we didn't get any of that out of President Biden last night. So even though, he did make a few gestures, talked about the fentanyl problem, but it wasn't until 40 or 50 minutes into the speech that he talked about how to solve that problem, the tragedy of the cartels running our border, and the tragedy of human trafficking, and the real burden on the taxpayers. He didn't really talk about that, and he kept talking about this fair share, and the rich have to pay more. But the truth is that 42% of our federal taxes are taken from the top 1%, and they pay it. And I'm all for making sure people pay their fair share. But what is fair? I mean, at this point, we want to see entrepreneurs and small business owners in my community in upstate New York, where 95% of the people don't even itemize their taxes, meaning that most of them are paying much less than those in the high metropolitan, high Democrat areas. So He really didn't deliver a speech that would be appealing to my communities, but it was something that, far left Democrats would love to hear.
Yeah, he's calling for a lot of things, but I was wondering, where is all this money coming from? And then if you watch some of the media last night, they called him energetic, brilliant, feisty. Despite everything pointed out in your response, President Biden, though, claiming the actual State of the Union is quite strong right now. Take a listen.
So I've come to fulfill my constitutional obligation to report in the State of the Union. And here's my report. Because the soul of this nation is strong, because the backbone of this nation is strong, because the people of this nation are strong, the State of the Union is strong.
All right, Congresswoman, I don't know if he's maybe gone to the grocery store, paid his electric bill, gone to put gas in the car, because that's gone up. Do you think people will actually believe him?
People are hurting in America, and they wanted to hear some leadership, and they wanted to hear some common sense and some sound fiscal controls coming from this president. And all he did was read, a prepared speech, which is what a lot of this is the way it is. But look, my communities are paying huge amounts of inflation. Over 60% of the American people do not want President Biden to run again and think that he's causing the problem. And 67% are going to be facing even greater inflation and 13% increase over the cost. So when you talk about his war on fossil fuels, look at 30% of inflation is driven by energy, and we have a terrible energy policy that's hurting Americans.
Right.
I have the largest dairy and agricultural district in the Northeast.
Yes.
The people up there are suffering. They want to see the prices go down, supply chains opened up again, and he didn't really give any information in this speech that would drive the
A lot of
improvement
people
on that.
agree. Congresswoman Claudia Tenney, thank you so much. Appreciate it.